Superba knitting machines are, most of them anyway, true double bed machines, and they're designed to have both carriages in use while you knit. They also require quite a lot of weight, but they did make a knitting retainer which functions much as a sinker plate does, that allows the use of one bed and much less weight, and that's how this was knitted. I'm going to rotate the camera around and give you the best look I can from here about how it's situated, but then we'll get it off of the machine and have a better look, because it's not at all obvious how to install the retainer plate. Now I'm going to do something that would be unthinkable without the knitting retainer on. I'm knitting with one hand, very little weight, just a couple of claw weights, and the front bed all the way down. See how easy and smooth that is? This thing is just marvelous. Normally, as we knit, we're looking at the carriage in this orientation. This is the back carriage, known as chariot in the original French, which I think is amusing. It's a little bit more tipped up in our view as we face the machine than this. And now, with it tipped up, you can see where the retainer is positioned. Now I'm going to flip it over left to right so the retainer is still in the front. And here is where it's attached. It's slid into brackets that are right behind the handle. Now here it is off. I'm going to move the handles into the picture, and you can get a good look at what I mean by the brackets. They're sort of keyhole shaped ones, so we'll want to move straight in over a little sort of post or rivet sort of thing that's down behind the handle where my thumb is tapping. There's one on each side. Normally, of course, we do this with the machine on the bed, the carriage on the bed. Slide and then seat it so that it locks into that position that you saw. Let me do it again. From this orientation, as we're working, we'll slide straight in and nudge it to the right a little bit. When you're upside down and really on the machine, I think it's the opposite. But we want our post to settle into that notch right there and there. So you can feel the post is centered behind the handle. I did find out that it's possible to get it to where it feels like it's on, but it's not on, and then it won't be positioned correctly for knitting. And I think you probably saw it slide just a little bit to lock it into place. So now we can go knit again. Let's E-wrap these needles. I bring them all the way forward to E-wrap because the carriage has an easier time knitting back from hold through the E-wraps than it does in its regular position. That's because I've done half of the work for it. It's already all the way forward. Let me restate that. The needles have already pushed all the way forward through the E-wrap. And now, come over here and look at the settings. That will allow it to knit back from hold. And I'm on stitch size 7. I actually knit this yarn at stitch size 6, but I've discovered that making the E-wrapped row a little bit loose is going to be easier for demo purposes. So here we go across. Now there's something I normally do on all machines, and that's for the second row. I also push the needles and let them knit back from hold, because I really need to not get my claw weights entangled, but there isn't enough fabric to hang them on until after the second row. Now there is. I can get well down and out of the way. making sure that I'm on stockinette settings, and I've just reduced to my main stitch size. And we're off. It's just as simple as that. I'm going to get this swatch off and let you look at it. My trusty tools, a stapler and a stylus, are holding the swatches down for you. The swatch on the left is one I knitted off camera before you joined me. That's at stitch size 5. The one on the right is the one we knitted together. That's at stitch size 6. They are both acceptable and they both knitted easily. That information is just in case you want to experiment with 2 strands of 224 yarn. But of course you're always going to want to adjust your machine to the ideal stitch size for whatever yarn you're using. These knitting retainers are not very common these days. They're hard to come by. But if you knit on a Superba and are able to locate one, I'd say snap it up.